All right, so it's really lovely to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Jessica Rousset. I'm the director of the Interplanetary Initiative at Arizona State University. My talk is going to be quite different from the previous, and I perhaps will take a little more than 7 minutes. I can't promise that. So I came to this role at the Interplanetary Initiative from a 20-plus year career in healthcare and life sciences with sort of a bent on innovation and entrepreneurship. And what really drew me to this initiative was how it builds on the sort of extensive science and engineering happening at ASU, but really thinking beyond and thinking about the societal and systems implications of us becoming an interplanetary species. Also, as an entrepreneur, I love to build and scale purpose-driven enterprises that are based on sort of the concepts of visionaries. And in this case, the visionaries behind Interplanetary are the president of ASU, Michael Crow, and Lindy Elkin-Stanton, who's a vice president and someone that maybe some of you folks know. But their belief, and I think a shared belief, is that great technological strides not only can but must be leveraged for the benefit of humanity as a whole, and that no person should be denied the shared inheritance of our human progress. So therefore, my talk today is Space Technology for Good, how the new American university is driving societal impact at interplanetary scale. So I should start by sort of defining what this new American university concept is. It was conceptualized by Michael Crow over 10 years ago, and I think it is best captured by the charter. And there are also a number of design principles behind this idea, and the charter has like these 3 elements that are, I think, equally profound and transformational, but I want to focus on the third one, which says that as ASU employees and faculty, we must assume fundamental responsibility for the well-being of the communities that we serve. And so when you're in an interplanetary program, that literally means, the world, this planet, and then planets that we will inhabit in the future. And also, when this kind of language is in your charter and in your mission and is literally, etched in stone on every campus of ASU, it gives us essentially license to take greater risks, think longer term, being bolder, really, with our efforts. So the Interplanetary Initiative started roughly 8 years ago with this idea of how do we sort of rethink how universities accelerate research, how do we prepare the next generations of innovators, so we've been building a lot of process innovation within the universities. And I'm not going to go into all of our programs because I definitely don't have time for that. I want to focus on how we launched interdisciplinary cross-sector research projects. So we bring together, very similar to what we're doing today, we bring together experts from industry and from government and nonprofit think tanks, and we connect them with ASU faculty and students and researchers from other universities to work on big goal questions that we all co-create and co-design together. And when we say interdisciplinary, it is, of course, the different, natural sciences and engineering disciplines, but it goes far beyond. We engage artists of all kinds, social scientists, folks in the humanities, et cetera. So, but also, when we bring folks together, we do this annually, and quite a few folks here have engaged with our programs. It's not just about sort of talking about the important things that we need to tackle, that we should be working on together, but it's the hard part of actually taking action after we all scatter back into our respective worlds. So we've been funding projects that come out of these kinds of conversations, so we are very much about action. And we funded about 55 projects to date, and the outputs of these projects have been as diverse as the nature of the groups that have come together to execute on them. And then I know you can't read these, but those are some examples of the big questions that we work on that lead to projects. What I want to emphasize is that this is really more about who we need to bring at the table, who needs to be answering these questions, and to think very broadly about that and how we show up and the values that we bring to the work that we do. So it's not just the what, it's the why and the how that we are particularly interested in. But we also do the what, and so I just wanted to show we have an interplanetary laboratory. This is a student-run laboratory because we all are very much focused, of course, on workforce development. So students that are overseen by a professional staff support a whole bunch of missions that are led either by faculty or by industry, because we serve all kinds of constituents. And the projects that we focus on do align with our sort of broader mission. So access, for example, we have this Pico Balloon project for sort of low-cost access to space. Inclusivity, and I will say that gender diversity in our lab is something, it's a work in progress. It's continually challenging. And then ethics. And so I just wanted to share one example, this LightCube 1U CubeSat here, which was a STEM outreach mission where anyone with a ham radio could flash this bulb in space and feel connected, just like kind of flying a kite. And of course, the radio astronomy community had some concerns with this mission, so we had to be very thoughtful in our response and engagement with that community. And I think that was a really important lesson for the project and the students, involved in that. So, the how we do things is extremely important. We recognize how difficult it is to do all the things that we're trying to do, how challenging. So this is just a fun slide to say, we believe in human connection. This is, at the end of the day, it's humans working together to make these things happen, and so we have to have fun. All right. So we recognize that we've been doing this for quite a few years, but there's important work happening all over the world. And a lot of, by a lot of folks that are here in the room. But I think we're at this kind of interesting moment in time where I think there's increasing attention being put on sort of the how, right? The ethics and the societal implications of all of our efforts. And I think we were really, encouraged, for example, to see NASA funding several space sustainability research projects after, an LC workshop that they hosted about a year and a half ago. And so we at the Interplanetary Initiative are on a year-long journey to becoming from an initiative to an institute. And sort of what that means for us is we have built an extensive network of individual collaborators in and outside of the university. But for us to make the systems level impact that we want, we need organizations to make commitments, to pledge for us as a community to take sort of collective action, to set goals that we want, that we all share, that we want to meet, and to make organizational level change at whatever level that makes sense to scale the impact that we want. And we have to do that really at a global scale. So we're interested in not only doing the research, but we want to translate the research into practical applications, develop best practices, to share those best practices so that we can ultimately produce more public value and a greater sense of stewardship across all of our activities. So I'm going to skip this next slide, and we can talk about this further. These are some of the areas of interest for us from an education and research perspective. It is evolving, but I do want to say that engaging the public, I think someone raised this earlier, through the arts is a very important focus for us, and then bringing in these considerations in all of our technical degrees from day one. All right, so in closing, all I want to say is if you all are advancing access, addressing inequities, or integrating social conscience in what you're doing, or if you would like to be doing so, we'd love for you to join our effort. We can only do this all together. So thank you for your attention.
Questions, comments? You're asking a lot. Is there anyone else who hasn't? Yeah. No, it's great. I love it, and I will get to you.
What ways are you looking for people to join your effort?
Yes. So we're in the process of sort of thinking through how we want to organize the community. So we're going to be putting together similar kinds of gatherings where we can collectively figure out how we do this. We don't have the answer, but we know that a lot of people have the joint interest in achieving this common vision and goals. So we will create this together, but we have a lot of convening power, and so we're happy to produce, and to sort of contribute that to this effort. And we think there's just a lot of momentum right now to make it happen. Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica, and great talk. As someone that was there in January when you did the event, which is kind of similar in scope, where we were looking at the future, 9 months later, is there any topic that we discussed then that you see as unfolding positively now that you want to talk to us about, just so we can keep it also in our minds?
We funded 4 projects from what we did in January, and they started in this academic year, which is now. So they're just getting ramped up. But so the work that happens is we refine the projects, we put the teams together, and we fund them. So one of the projects was the Time Traveler's Archive. So it was this notion of how is our sense of self going to evolve as we spend more and more time off planet, and that we need to start tracking that today so that we can see the arc of our evolution when it comes to this notion. And so we're funding that. That's with NYU folks and others. as one example. There's a minimum viable infrastructure for to support human presence on the moon, and so that's another project that we're funding, and there are a couple others.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.